Okay, this is a long scenario, and I did remove the name of the private ABA program uh, just because a lot of people in the group would be familiar with it. I don't need to bring up the name of the facility, um, well, I mean, I might be a bit critical, which, you know, some people don't like my stark sort of honesty, but I don't think it benefits families if I dance around what I think are potential issues, okay? Because those issues end up filtering over into your um, intention to transition your child back into a public school environment and do it correctly. And, you know, there's a lot of providers out there, and I don't care if it's an OT, speech language, if it's a behavior analyst, if it's a psychologist, don't care. All right. I am equal opportunity in criticizing everyone, including myself. All right. I am by no means perfect. And I'm always checking myself in where I can make improvements. Okay. But the one thing that I can tell you definitively is I am not a sellout. All right. There's a big difference. Okay. I will fight for my clients. That is my only priority, and I could care less about the little games that schools play to try to sit there and shake things down or try to pay me off or manipulate situations in order to diminish what it is that we're fighting to achieve for our client. That's just not me. It's not my personality. I'm not built that way. At the same time, I have a very short list of the people that I trust with regards to third-party professionals, psychologists, OTs, speech language, counselors, behavior analysts, because over the years that I've been doing this, specifically in Alabama, because I've been doing it the longest there, there's a group of individuals that I trust. There's some that have regained my trust after some initial disappointments. And they have not done anything to have me question them since we sort of reestablished the parameters. But I can tell you that the only thing that matters to me is my client. Could care less about anything else. All right. I am a parent of a child that has an IEP. I am a parent of a child with autism, and due to her being autistic and the fact that she didn't come with an owner's manual when we had her and she was diagnosed, my wife and I over the years have had to really become good at just second guessing her, especially in those early developmental years where she absolutely could not communicate and the behaviors were heightened along with the self-injury. And, you know, it was because of the lack of communication, we ended up learning how to second guess every sound, every movement we could sit there and anticipate that. And what I respected about one of the behavior analysts that was involved with our daughter was the nice shellacking that I received from this professional, saying that I was part of the problem as a parent, that I was impeding her progress therapeutically because I was not, I was enabling instead of that tough work of therapy. Sometimes therapy is tough. Physical therapy is tough. You know, therapy is hard, guys. Anybody that you know, and I've had a sports injury in the past that, you know, to where it took me 9 months to complete that process with and it was hard. I did not enjoy it, but it was necessary in order to get my muscle tone back in my leg and make myself whole again. All right. So with that in mind, and that might be a poor example for many people out there, but that's the only one in my recollection that would be applicable to me and therefore applicable to the situation. it sort of hit me at that point that, the parent sometimes is also an impediment to the progress of their child, regardless of the best interests. Same thing with the provider or the school. All right, they can have the best intentions in the world, but at the same time, sometimes other factors become an impediment to the child's progress as well. It could be school finance. It could be incompetence of staff, lack of training, the lack of support with regards to board and superintendent resources. All of those things, good intention can be there, but if all these factors are messed up, then the child suffers. So that's where, with the professionals that I respect and that I call upon to assist in moving the settlement agreements that we fashion forward, because the work of these third-party professionals, psychologists, OT, speech language, counselors, behavior analysts, they're a reflection on me as well. Okay, because if they do a good job in whatever mediation or settlement agreement that we fashion with the school system, then it reflects upon me. All right, so I'm very, very careful in who I trust in this capacity. And there are some that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole because they have shown themselves to not be within the critical framework of what I require. And what is that? That the child is the focus, not the school system. I could care less what the school system thinks at the end of the day. But if the recommendations from the neutral professional, the psychologist, the OT, the speech language, these outside people that don't work for the school system, I don't want them agreeing with James Galini either. All right? I want somebody that's going to sit there and come into the situation, and I want them to look at the child and make recommendations per the need of the child's disability, and what the child requires in order to receive a FAPE. And there's a lot of little nuances to where, these outside professionals say, well, I've got to make educational recommendations. No, I don't know where the hell that's written. It's not written anywhere, guys. Your job is to provide recommendations of what that child needs, what is a peer-reviewed, scientifically based treatment for that child, and whether the four walls of where and what that child needs is inconsequential. Absolutely inconsequential. Your job is to sit there and say, this is what this child requires. And that's when the IEP team makes that consideration and that determination. That's what it's based upon. And people go, well, James, that's wrong. And there's going to be a lot of educational people that are listening to this that are going to sit there and say, well, he's absolutely wrong. Let me finish the second part of it. It is then up to the IEP team to take the recommendations from the professional and then make a determination as an IEP team about how that becomes applicable within the school setting and within the confines of what a free, appropriate public education would be. But it is not up to these outside professionals to sit there and try to sit there and second guess what it is and the desires of the school system itself. I could care less what the school system wants. I could care less what their resource situation is. Doesn't matter. Inconsequential. What does the child need? What is the nature of their disability? What is it that is peer-reviewed, scientifically based to help that child progress? It is then the role of the IEP team to make a determination based upon the recommendations from these outside experts. Quite frankly, that is exactly the job of the people that have licensure within the district: speech language, occupational therapy, social workers, behavior analysts. If they employ a school psychologist, they have licensure separate from teachers. And what they should be doing is basing their determinations within their own reports. They should be basing it upon what the child needs, and they should be throwing in recommendations based upon the same standard, because they have separate licensure than within the school. But unfortunately, once again, one of the things that's screwed up in our make-believe school hierarchy is this little screwed up baby military that they've created, to where you have this hierarchy of educated people telling other educated people what to do and what they can't do, and most of the time instituting things like bullying and threats of insubordination. What the hell is that? Everybody is highly degreed, but yet you treat each other like crap. And you sit there and you wonder why we can't keep good people in education, and why the very good people tend to just sort of mind their own and that don't get involved in all this petty politics that go on inside of the schools. We're here for our kids, all kids. But yet I see this petty infighting all the time based upon these notions of hierarchy, which don't exist in a lot of other workplaces, guys. They just don't. And you guys have degrees, and we just don't do that in the legal field. We don't do that in medicine. We don't do that in a lot of other professional fields where degrees are there, to where we play these petty hierarchical games of somebody, I'm this person and therefore I'm writing you up for insubordination. So therefore the recommendations should track what the child needs, not what the school desires. With private providers like psychologists, behavior analysts, and so forth, it also should not be based upon what the parent wants. Okay? Because like I said, I've been wrong before as a parent. And I so appreciated, sorry if this isn't lined up with my just something that's irritating me. Don't judge me. So that's the whole point, guys, is that, the parents aren't always right either. And so you have to carry that balance where you have a neutral party that is working on behalf of the child alone. That's it. So that's how you get on my good list. It's not whether you agree with me or not, because quite frankly, the people I trust the most are the ones that don't agree with me, that are not afraid of me, that will sit there and challenge me. I am not an expert in your fields. I am willing and receptive, but I can tell you, I know who the crooks are out there. I know who the ones are that when a school calls them, depending on the demographics and the financial hierarchy of some of these schools, some of these jokers in Alabama will change the results of their evaluations because they're asked to behind the scenes by the school system. And I won't use these people. Will not use them, and I will not be silent if anybody asks me who these yahoos are. I have no problem letting them know. I just won't put it on paper. And by God, if I am able, I would run these people out of business because they're damaging kids. They're damaging kids. It is not about the school system and what the school wants. These are taxpayer dollars that are there for an intended purpose, and that is to help our kids progress. Some of that money filters over to these professionals. And if these people will sit there and sell their soul and sell their reputation for some money, I don't want them. I don't want them involved in any of my settlement agreements. That's for damn sure. So it looks like I'm not going to get to the question. I'm just going to have this as its own little video. And, if you want to call it a rant, I don't think it is. But I think as parents and also as educators and also as third-party providers that are on this page, I think it's good to understand what the focus needs to be. And the focus needs to be the child. The recommendations need to be child-centered. Then it's the IEP team that take those recommendations and then make and extrapolate from that information what can be done within the confines of a 7-hour educational setting in order to help that child progress. We shouldn't be afraid of challenges, and we shouldn't be trying to encourage a dilution of what the science tells us for kids simply because it's within a school system with a budget. That's disgusting.